Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you today, Neal?
I am waking up and getting ready to play a crap ton of D&D. How are you doing?
Doing well. Doing well. Yeah. What's a crap ton of D&D? You got back-to-back sessions today?
I do, yes. Dicing with Death right now. And
We
then
do? Shit. I'm late.
It's all right. I'm late, too. I'm like 20 minutes late. And then we've got Empires of Arcadia this evening. Tomorrow, fairly early, we've got Of Dice and Men. A bunch of shit coming out. We have a Hardcore Heroes this Sunday. No Desperate Measures. We're going to have a hobo, do we say, next Sunday?
I think it's the 17th.
17th? Yeah.
The 10th is open.
Yeah, the 17th. A bunch of shit going on.
Cool.
Well,
so
Halvar's gone. We ended him last time, and we rolled stats for a new character whose name is Selkie. She is 5'4", 125 pounds, female, 38 years of age, half elven, half human, right-handed, played by Neal Gallery Pass Erickson. Well, for some thingies.
Yeah, so we'll ease into this. Probably have a pretty casual first segment. Figure out who Selkie is and get her settled into the setting and go from there.
All right, so No, I was just confused momentarily by
maybe we'll hold off on the spell rolling and start with that. I think I'd like a little bit of background, whatever, before we roll for some spells.
You're the boss.
Kind of. Everyone knows the players are really in charge.
All right. Figure of speech to show support in this case. Take it away.
Why don't you take it away? Or I guess I can interview you. Figure out who the Selkie is and where they came from.
Yeah.
Is Selkie a full name, given name, or is that like a shorthand of a longer unpronounceable elven name?
I believe Selkie it was like a nickname that stuck and became the real name. Her early years are somewhat obscured, having been raised by an aunt and uncle. Her original past has been, they each gave her like different stories that were clearly lies over her life, so she's not entirely sure of where she came from. And her aunt and uncle were these weird woods people. And eventually they died. And Selkie was sort of picked up by a traveler in the area who worked out of Solstice. And she went with this traveler who she sort of kind of knew and who found her after her not adopted parents, but aunt and uncle had been gone for a little while and brought her to the city. Somewhat a mystery, Selkie somewhat a nickname turned real name.
How long ago was all of this? Were you a child when you were brought to the city?
Not a child. Maybe like 14 or 15 in human years. So for her, that would probably be like 19 or 20.
Okay.
And then, so that would be 20 years ago now. A little more than 20 years ago. So she's worked in the city for a while, but also not really. Not working in a bakery or something, but kind of like living in and out of the city, and still somewhat of a wild woods creature. She took to exploring the nearby lands around Solstice. Her favorite things to do is to impersonate other people, and to that end, she's developed a craft for disguising oneself, changing one's mannerisms, applying makeup in ways to accent different features. So, little something under the eyes if she wants to play like a hollowed old woman begging on the corner, and then like cover up her, young form with heavy, old smelling, disgusting rags, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Are your spellcasting abilities innate? Are they from your elven heritage, or is that something you have trained here in Solstice or studied?
I think that's probably something that I studied here.
Okay.
Yeah, probably something that I picked up quickly and easily. I've got high int here. So maybe there was a little bit of innate something something that got overlooked, and then when she arrived with this family friend, let's call him, he might have helped her into a position where she could learn to use her God's given abilities more appropriately.
What was Selkie like as a youth? Was she troublesome? Was she well behaved? Would she have run into problems with the law? Is that how you became acquainted with the knights, or?
No, I think that she was inquisitive and curious, perhaps too curious for her own good, often trying to poke her nose into stuff that wasn't her business. That might have just been because she lived in the woods and there wasn't much going on, and so get starved for things to do. I think her association with the knights probably comes through that family friend who brought her after her aunt and uncle died.
Cool. Do we have names for any of these people? Add them in later, or?
Yes, we got names. The uncle's name is B-Rad.
B-Rad.
Oh, not uncle. That's family friend.
Yeah, same, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then there's the actual aunt and uncle, and
they're out of the picture though, right? They're also
dead.
Died.
Yes, they don't need names.
B-Rad. Is B-Rad still here in Solstice, or is?
I think so. Also? Yeah, it's been 20 years, so he's older, maybe even retired at this point. Probably recently retired, actually. And we are sometimes in touch. There's an innate connection there that probably will be around forever, but it's sort of subdued. Distant relative that you see and you love, but you don't hang out with them all the time. You don't go to grandma's house every weekend, even though you probably should.
Yeah. Okay.
All your grandmas, everyone. To them. Are these tokens I get to pick from?
Yeah, I'm pulling a few options that we can choose from.
Are these Matthew Berger originals?
These are Matthew Berger originals. Are we flipping over to the map, or not yet?
Yes, I have flipped over just to this little corner over here.
Okay.
Let's take a look at these guys.
Let me know when and if the map shows up on stream, so I can give credit where credit is due. But if we're just looking at maps or tokens, we can start there. Do any of these look suitable? You want me to keep digging? There may also be different color palettes.
Yeah, I was looking for
if you have your own suggestion.
Hair.
You have black hair?
Black hair.
Yeah.
So I do believe I've been told that once I get a description for her, Matthew will be making a token specifically for her.
That's that's what I'm hearing as well. So
1 week.
Maybe this decision doesn't matter. Supposedly we're getting a custom custom Selkie.
We'll want something for today, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Was there one of these that
I will take, in lieu of a black-haired one, I will take this one.
One of these witchy ones?
Yeah, this witchy one.
Yeah. Okay. I may be able to find a black-haired version of that, actually. What is that one's name? There is this one. Is that better?
Yeah, I'll take that.
There's also, I don't know if this is the one I just deleted. Black-haired one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, how did Selkie fall in with the Knights of Solstice?
Perhaps B-Rad recommended her to the Knights as a possible candidate for schooling.
Mm-hmm. Well, perhaps to the wizarding school.
Yeah, I'm not sure where exactly she would have been taken. Solstice lower quite as well as you.
I wouldn't say that. I tend to make things up as we go along over here.
Fine. She's 38 and only level 1, so I kind of want her to be a somewhat recent addition to all of this. So maybe she actually went to a private school and has only recently graduated, or completed her initial training courses and is now ready to join the Knights. I don't know if you need to get your undergrad in spellcraft somewhere else before you can join the Knights, or if the Knights will teach you. But she's recently accomplished.
There is a Diviner's Tower here in Solstice, and a library. That probably would be the only place to formally study magic in the area. Unless,
if magic was
barring innate magic abilities,
how would we do that when it comes to spell books? That might actually be the route to go with her, though.
That's what I was asking, if it came from your elven heritage. In which case we can be flexible. We can do a mix.
Okay. I think that probably works better, considering her backstory and her desire to be sort of like a sleuthy, sneaky person with their own aspirations. She doesn't seem like the sort of person who would sit in class all day. So maybe some sort of innate something?
Okay. In that case, let's... what does that look like? So it's not uncommon for elves to have innate spellcasting ability. Do you think this runs in the blood, or is this just elven education?
I think this runs in the blood. It's something a little wild about her, and she's maybe had thoughts that this is the reason that her parents are gone. Mm-hmm. I have these spell-like abilities, and I don't really know how I get them, and my parents are gone. Did I do something wrong? Why is no one wanting to tell me what happened to them? Where I came from, who they were?
Yeah. So in that case, we can lay out some innate magical abilities, and you can pick spells that maybe you can justify as feeling somewhat fey. You're not a wild mage or anything like that, are you?
No.
Your spell is not that uncontrollable.
That might actually be a good route to go. I wasn't planning on it. But I think for someone with innate magic, I do like the wild school of magic for innate casters. You be down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. Do you have 16 int?
I do have 16 int.
It's the requirement. I don't know if wild mages can typically multi-class, but I'm fine with that. Because they're not specialists in the traditional sense. They don't study within the confines of schools. Fine. Let's see. I don't think it limits your spells available.
I get
plus 10% on wild magic, minus 5% everything else, but there's no bard spells.
Right. And there's actually a few extra wild magic spells that others don't get. Which is great, because that extra Nahal's Reckless Dweemer feels very much like a innate ability, and you're just like, I don't know, here's my last bit of... Fuck, everyone's dead. Alright, so how would you like me to pick the spells? Should I just declare them and roll for them, or...
Anything that you can justify as being innate fey magic, you can just declare and roll for.
Okay.
So basically, I'm reserving the right to jump in and say that spell doesn't sound like something that you should have. I don't know what it might be, but...
Well, let's start with armor. An innate chanting of protection that binds the whims of magic around me in a defensive pattern that will hold for, well, until it's been broken down by incoming blows.
Okay. Doesn't feel very innate, but we'll let the dice decide. So you can roll to learn that at minus 5%. And what do these look like? Do you have a spell book? I mean, you could have acquired one later. How do these initial spells work?
I think maybe initially it was a like weird fragments of memories kind of disjointed together. And after years of trying to piece them together and like casting them sometimes, she started to keep notes.
So you have you do have a notebook of sorts.
I think so. It might not be as complete as a typical wizard's book.
Every spell book is unique. Yeah. I don't know that I'm glued to the idea of requiring a spell book if we want to go this route, but if you think there's a notebook, we can use that in place of a spell book.
I think for now she needs a notebook to hold everything together, and we'll see if she becomes reliant upon her notebooks or if they become a tool of the past.
Yeah, I'm thinking to learn new spells, you'll likely need to go more traditional routes, maybe, or at least that would be the easiest. Get a spell book and learn spells from that.
But... yeah. I'm going to roll D100 minus 5.
Sure.
Greater than 70. No, it was less than 70.
You rolled D00.
Oh, well. I also want less than 70, not more than 70. 27.
Yeah.
All right, so 20, I got the armor.
22, but yeah.
Right.
That's not right. It should be plus 5 if you're doing it this way.
Oh, you're right.
Or you can just do less than 65, but
sure,
that's fine. So you do have an innate armor, perhaps a.
I've got whole list. The thing is, I got more spells than I feel like I should probably start with. I was just expecting myself to fail a bunch of them. So
yeah.
let me jump on to Detect Magic, a classic spell, being able to feel the weave of the world around you. How's that feel for?
That's fine. Yeah, you can roll for Detect Magic.
Fail to Detect Magic. Ooh. Okay. How about do Featherfall?
Yeah. So do you think you can feel the weave of magic? You just haven't. It's just not to the level of a Detect Magic spell.
Yeah.
Like you can feel magic, but it's too unpredictable to rely on in the sense of like being able to divine auras.
I think she feels it like you might feel the wind, and she hasn't gotten around to controlling the ability to like know what the wind means when it blows in such a way. And it's sort of just this like third dimensional or fourth dimensional buffering back and forth that she's dimly aware of, like how people will put small magnets in the tips of their fingers so that they can physically feel electromagnetic fields around objects. But
that's not. I thought it was more of a manipulation thing.
I think
like you're talking about like the, what do you call it, like biohackers or whatever, like the transhumanists that implant magnets in their fingers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I thought that was more of as a tool. Like, say you've got a magnet in your finger, you can use it to like pick up paper clips or blah blah blah. I've never heard of you implanting magnets in your fingers to feel the.
Oh yeah, totally. So you can like you put your hands near your computer when it's on, and you can feel like the repulsion or attraction from the magnetic field as you like put your hands near X, Y, and Z, and being able to follow like where are the power cords in the wall before I don't like accidentally nail into it. All sorts of crazy people with crazy uses for this technology.
If you say so.
I mean, I don't have I don't have magnets in my fingers. I'm not espousing this as a proper path for people to go down, only that some people play with it. So that was no on Detect Magic. Featherfall. Here we go. That is a pass. I think that is very much similar, like feeling the winds of magic and being able to control them just enough to like slow your descent.
Have you read The Name of the Wind? Okay.
On something similar.
First off, you should, but this sounds very similar. You played D&D with Pat Rothfuss, haven't you?
I have.
You didn't even bother to read his damn book.
I've never read any of his books. No.
I mean, there's only the two that I'm aware of. I'm sure, yeah, written other, but or anyways.
Okay, next one is going to be Unseen Servant. Love this spell. Success. I'm assuming Unseen Servant is acceptable.
Seems fine. Okay.
In the little fey windy.
So there's three. Let's pause for a second and make sure you get some wild magic spells in there.
Excellent. The Hall's Reckless Dwemer.
That's the choose your own spell, isn't it?
That's the cast any spell you want, but it's going to be a Wild Surge. And plus 10% because it's a wild spell. Success.
Okay. What are the other first level wild mage spells?
One more.
Right.
Hornog's Guess.
Horung's Guess. You can skip that if you want. That's the really shitty one that like gives you like within 2 standard, like, what is it?
It's Georg's less handy metric, basically.
Hornung's Guess.
Provides the wizard with an instant and highly accurate estimate of the number of persons or objects in a group.
like 1 sig fig. This is, yeah.
It's not a very useful spell.
Inspiration for Georg's Handry Metric.
Yeah.
You don't need. Okay, you've got 1 wild magic spell. Yeah, how many have we've rolled for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking 1 more. If it fails, maybe you can plead with me to get another.
Okay. So on my list, I had comprehend languages, detect secret passages, expeditious retreat, jump, mount, read magic, and Tensor's floating disc. If I get to pick 1 more of these,
I will. It might be challenging to have another mage without read magic. We somehow did it with the last character. I don't remember what we did. Somehow
Frankie,
we did it.
He just never learned any new spells. He just suffered.
I mean, I think you got spells at level up, right?
I think so.
It was something like that, and you eventually passed to read magic.
Yeah.
I might have given you like a scroll or something, a scroll of read magic.
Something like that.
Something like that. But I think you failed. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, let's try the read magic. Making me nervous.
I mean, yeah.
Oh my God! It's starting again.
It's happening again. So maybe you won't be educated at the tower. You got what you wanted, Neal.
Oh God. Okay. All right. Well, then at least let me try.
Yeah, you can try another for sure.
Detect secret passages. I want. Yeah.
Detect secret passages. Now I'm gonna have to actually know. It is, yeah.
I'm only a half elf, so I don't get the same elven chance to detect these things, but through my twist of magic, I can amplify my senses, channel my inner elven heritage, and find them.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So I think that will do. Unless you have strong objections. So there was a...
Oh, that is good. I guess I haven't bought very much in the way of gear yet. I just have leather armor, 2 daggers, and a purse.
You'll need a notebook, or I mean, you don't need. I'm flexible on your spell learning, but it sounds like you want to have a notebook.
Hmm. Yes, I'll have a notebook.
Would you like to do material components?
Yes.
Okay. So armor will require some blessed leather. Do you want to have some narrative explanation of where you got that and who it's blessed by?
Yes.
Perhaps we could leave it a mystery. Like perhaps it's like a family heirloom.
Well, it gets consumed by the casting, doesn't it?
We could be flexible. We could say that it's like a garment of blessed leather left to you by your aunt and uncle. Maybe a little bit of it gets consumed every time, so it's slowly wearing away.
Okay.
But it will last 100 uses or something like that.
Yeah, I think this is perhaps a... what would be a leather garment that one might have? I'm thinking some sort of like blanket or something that I was wrapped in that I was left with, and it's one of the few
I like that. Like it was
ties.
maybe like implication being maybe it was, or like your aunt and uncle gave it to you, but they told you it was from your parents.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's
what you were wrapped in. It could also be like a leather cord that binds an amulet. It could be Yeah, some little bit of armor or a garment, like a bracer or a leather bracelet.
I like a blanket that was used to wrap her as an infant, because that's sort of like infant's armor, and she's using it later in life as adult armor.
Okay, so is it a leather? Is it like a leather blanket? This is finely cured leather, so it could be like an animal fur, or is it that it's a blanket with some leather binding somewhere?
I think it was a blanket made out of animal fur that had been like the fur had been stripped from it, so it was just like the leather. It had been finely cured, and then the child was wrapped in that, and then other blankets were placed on top of it for proper insulation.
I like that.
And this was like the inner blanket, the inner swaddle.
So however you want to notate that, but it, I don't know that Selkie will know this, but it will say that it's finely cured leather blessed by a priest of some kind. It's given to you to protect you as a child. And I think maybe you rub it compulsively or something, or like you rub it for, and so you're like wearing holes in it as you cast. I don't know if you want to like start with 100 charges and keep track, or if you'd rather just not worry about it for now and we can just like check in and maybe eventually it will become unusable.
Yeah, I like that, because 100 charges we won't ever run through. But if
so I think for now we'll say that it's infinite, but we can see
DM's
as the campaign goes the campaign goes on. I'll try not to like rob you of it and be like, it's gone. But there's no rolls for armor, right?
No.
Yeah. So I'm gonna feel like critical fails or something might have been a good way, but there's nothing you could critically fail.
Maybe it'll get
I guess
damage.
there are wild surges. So maybe I'll relate it to wild surges. If you roll like a 1 on the wild surge table, I'll knock off some durability of your. We'll see.
Yeah.
What other spells do you have? So can you give us the full list?
Armor, detect secret passages, Featherfall, Unseen Servant, and the Hall's Reckless Dwemer. Unseen Servant requires material components. I think that is the only other one that does. Yeah, no.
A piece of string and a bit of wood. Weird, but that seems like stuff that
be lying around.
Could be lying around. You could have on hand.
Yeah, I think Selkie will have prepared in advance. So maybe some like little puppets, little marionette-esque puppets, and I think she has a few of them that she maybe plays with. And these can be consumed.
Do you have ventriloquism?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I have bureaucracy.
Which how do you that does not seem to fit in with this whole wild.
Well, that's what happens when you make your proficiencies before your backstory. I think I need to change out bureaucracy here. That no longer feels like it fits. Because I thought she would be a Knight of Solstice, but she's not there yet.
You could be a Knight of. I mean, you've been in the city for a while. You could leave that. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like bureaucracy is something that she will tech into or learn down the road, maybe. So I will scrap bureaucracy, and I think I'm just going to take... survival. Maybe not survival. What else fits it? Got singing. Fine.
You've got singing, do you?
As a proficiency, yeah.
Interesting.
What in the woods gonna do with her time other than sing? We're on the start of the first Glee Club, actually. Heaving. Maybe I will go... I'll get anatomy. One more slot. like to maybe start on healing. 3 slots to learn, so I don't think I'll actually be able to get it.
How does healing is a wizard proficiency?
No, it's a pre.
Okay,
And
that's why it's going to be 3 slots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked. I proposed a while ago to split healing
Into.
To like make healing like a 1 slotter or something, and then have another proficiency that is like a first aid or like a field dressing. So there's like a which would be to like bind wounds and like stop bleeding and stabilize characters. And then there's a separate proficiency for like the long-term care and like medical side of it. And make that maybe they don't even need to, right? So like the healing proficiency doesn't necessarily, maybe you can use your healing proficiency if it's better than an int check, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're able to, in the midst of combat, field dress a wound.
Okay.
And then the mechanical benefit is for like a 1 slot, you can get this proficiency that helps you stabilize a wounded or bleeding person. I don't know.
Dig it. No, I dig it because healing is 2 slots and it's so useful, but it's kind of a bitch to do. But I think first aid would be a much better way of doing it.
Right, and like have, I don't know if first aid is a prereq for healing, or if it would be like you split the benefits of healing into 2 separate proficiencies. One that's like split into like medicine and first aid.
Yeah. What would you say first aid keys off of? Intelligence or wisdom?
I could see it either way. Just typically to stabilize, it's an int check.
And healing is keyed off of wisdom usually, which is
yeah, but mechanically it might be kind of interesting to have it be a different stat than healing, just so there's like options, right? So like if you've got strong int, maybe you can innately, I mean, so maybe you don't even need first aid, or maybe it's like with first aid you can automatically
first aid, you can bind wounds, no check needed, as if you had a healing proficiency. But then the healing proficiency is what lets you gain HP and stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then maybe like with both, you can do the like heal for D3.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I don't know if either of these are going to be that mechanically beneficial for a single player campaign, unless you have henchmen and stuff.
Probably not. All right, so I'm going to put in first aid as an intelligence with no modifier available to all classes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I will give... Actually, I don't think she'll need first aid. Grab something else. Like anatomy. Did I ever take your... What was I thinking?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to do cooking and anatomy. I think cooking will help me, will work with her background, being sort of on her own and needing to learn to cook for herself. And it will also help her as a part of her disguise rituals to sneak into places. There we go. Any other questions?
I think I feel pretty solid on Selkie's backstory. Is there anything you would like to add?
I only have questions for you about where she is in Solstice and what her relationship to the Knights are, and what her purpose is, and what our quests are. That's all my questions for you.
Okay.
I write down all of her checks. Rope use, dex 0, literacy has no check. Perfect. Okay. Excellent. I think I am ready. Ready?
Getting there. Yeah.
Been just shy of an hour. Is this like
Yeah.
a good break point for her? And then when we come back, we start our game?
Maybe.
Production.
I feel like there might be more. Maybe there's more backstory. Maybe there's not. Maybe we can jump right into a scene that's possibly in the past and possibly nowish.
Okay.
Yeah. So this seems like a good spot for a break.
All right. We will come back from a break on the other side. See you soon.
Bye-bye.